Intro music. Da 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 dun 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 dun. Hey y'all, this is Daniel here. Figured I would put this video together because we've always taken so many pictures, and I just would like to put it all together and maybe talk about it. This is from a trip back in 2020, whenever we went up to the mountains of North Carolina, and I'm not quite sure exactly what this creek's name is, but it was along a stretch of trail that went near the Hebron Falls, near Julian Price Lake, Julian Price Memorial Park, and we had a good time walking around and just seeing all the stuff that's in the mountains and all those beautiful things. But it was hot, and so we got to get in this nice creek, and it was shallow enough to where it was comfortable. Yeah, we got I think the whole trail. I can't remember the name of this trail, but it's about 5 miles, and it's a loop, and it kind of goes outside and around Julian Price Memorial Park. And we actually started kind of late, and we ended up getting back after dark, which was wild, which was an adventure. But I think this was a picture from the next day that we went, so it was nice and bright, and we didn't have to worry about tripping over anything. So there's another shot of some water, and there's Shane sitting there enjoying the sunshine and the water. So it's another shot of the same thing. But yeah, I was trying to get in the water. It was quite cold, but it felt good. There's a little waterfall right there. Still thinking about trying to get in deeper. And here comes the video.
Oh, so wonderful.
It really was.
Yeah, it's strong. Be careful.
I hardly ever am. You can see coming up, it gets a little dicey looking. It gets deeper as I go in there. Always hear tell people getting their feet stuck inside of little cracks, and they be under the water and can't get out.
Is it deep?
Scary. It wasn't quite over my head right here, but as you can tell in a couple minutes. See, I think right there I couldn't touch. And right about there is when I'm like, I ain't going no further. I want to get my foot stuck. And
I'd have to come in there and
I
get
think
you.
something about comes up here in a second, and I'm like, oh, we got to get out of here. So these were some of the rock formations that were along Hebron Falls. Watch out, Shane. There's some tricky spots up in there, but it was beautiful. I mean, a lot of rock outcroppings. There was some writing that I thought looked like some runes. The sign to Hebron Falls. Making your way down the falls. Some more views of the creek. There's like a little cave that we found. That was pretty cool. Going there during a thunderstorm. Some views of the woods and the trails. I like all these little small areas that you can go into and see all this cool stuff. Some rhododendron in the sunshine, or mountain laurel. Here's a little cave we found underneath with the water flowing through. It was pretty cool. Shane was getting in the water a little bit. There's a little upper view of that. Same falls. This was the water section that we got into. Shane, pretty, posing. We got in. Look at them pale legs. It felt good. Shane basking in the sunlight. Here's the video. quite cool, but it felt refreshing at the same time. And it was really nice. There wasn't nobody out there, and it felt really good. Definitely want to go back. It took me a while to get situated down into this thing because it was, you know, rocks are slippery when they're wet. And I don't know. I was holding a camera. That pale thing.
Oh!
It felt so good though. I'll do it again in a heartbeat. There was actually some kind of, like, I think there was little crawdads crawling around. This was Gollum's cave. I think I found Gollum's cave back in the back somewhere. And so there's another view of some water. We like our water. This was another section of the trip. I'm not quite sure exactly what order these are supposed to go into now that I've looked back on them. But this was a section of a Forest Service road. We found a spot to get off on, and we just kind of wanted to chill and have a look-see. Shane here dipping her feet in the water, having a good time. It was feeling really good that day. I'm glad we got to do this. Me striking a weird pose. I think I go on to maybe it's not so weird of a pose. Alright, this was a cool spot that we found down there on one of them other Forest Service roads. I don't really want to say the road. I kind of do, but I don't. Because it's like you don't want nobody to come out there, you know, and find your spot that you found, but then you wouldn't have found it if you wouldn't have went riding. But I'll say it's off of Old Pinola Road or Roseboro Road or somewhere down there. You have to find that for yourself. But this was another one of those free campsites you can find on a fire safety road. You see they got the hammock back there. And then we got the campsite getting going there. Got the tent set up and all that. All the necessities that you might have at the campsite. And well, there's another view of that. Same shot to the left. And another view of some slightly to the right. I think you can see Shane's head in there. Looking back the other way. This is my little makeshift tent for the back of the truck. Took an old gazebo covering and then made some PVC pipes to make the framing. We never did really sleep in it. I'd like to get me one of those air mattresses that fit in the back of a bed of a truck. And there's Shane waking up. Hey, Shane. And here we go. We're walking down a trail. Now you can see where we are. And this is pretty cool. It connected to Harbor Creek Falls down. So if you know where that's at, then you know. But it's a nice little area. Once again, it's not very populated. Can't remember what campsite we stumbled upon right here, but there was. Maybe this was something I was about to get. Maybe I was getting ready, and we hadn't set up for the next one. I don't remember, but that was a campsite up there. I think around the same area. It's just a nice little place to go. It's free, and there's fungi. Always cool to see fungi. Oh, that was a tree right over the river, the water. Ah, yes. Some of you may or may not know this area. If you do, you'll know it right off the bat. But this is the Linville Gorge Wilderness area. We're situated right here at the end of the Wiseman's View. You can see the Linville River down there. That's facing east, like Table Rock, right over there. And this was I just wanted to get the expansiveness of it. It just doesn't do it justice unless you're there, you know. But it's beautiful. It's like the Grand Canyon of North Carolina, I feel like. I think maybe somebody else has said that before, but I don't know. There's hiking trails all throughout this place in this area, and if I'm not mistaken, you can camp pretty much anywhere. Permit. Shane posing in front of Table Mountain. Table Rock. Table Mountain. It's not Table Mountain, that's in Cape Town, South Africa. Tried to have a nice picture, but I usually do something to make it weird. Yeah, I think some of these are the same shots, but it would be nice to go down in that river or climb along that ridge. But who knows, maybe we did. I think that's Hawksbill, or I can't remember the names of anything. And here comes a video. Me and Shane out here at Wise Man's View over here in Linville Gorge Wilderness. We listen to the beats. See if you can hear it. Kind of goes like do 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 do. I guess he was making that sound. Do 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 do. As I make my shots closer to the east, we go along the ridge. And here, as you look onwards, is where we are going to go next. Old NC 105. Shane really likes sitting in the back of the truck when we ride down these roads. This is an actual highway that they got labeled on the maps, and you can drive down through the whole thing. There is some sketchy spots, and my truck is not 4x4, but it gets by pretty easily. But there are some spots where you would feel a little scary on driving it. I also know that this whole road, you can camp off on either side if you can find a spot to camp at. It's free. This was one spot where we pulled off onto, and you had a wide open space to look off into this is looking towards the east. There's Shane looking at me, looking at her. And back on it again. I think this is where we kind of drop down a little bit. Start going down, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, there it is. There's a spot. It gets a little hairy, man. Kept wanting it to open up on the sides so we could really see out as we drove. I really wanted her to be able to see out there, but it was fun. It was
yeah,
really
just that
cool.
part.
I can't remember how many miles that is. There's a spot right there, like a dip. See my brake lights come on. I'm taking my time going over this thing. That ain't no joke, man. I ain't trying to be stranded out here on this thing. After some free camping and some mountain ruggedness, this road will end up dumping you out near Lake James State Park. Yeah, I can't remember how many miles this is, but it's a pretty long stretch, and you need to have a full tank of gas and, plenty of provisions to keep yourself supplied. And I don't think there's that much of a good cell service out here, but I've seen a lot of people posting about that area that we were at, Wiseman's View, and I just thought I might make our own documentation of it. But that would be a campsite that you could go off into. Not too sure how that one looked. I can't remember. Yeah, but this is old NC 105. Look it up and check it out on the maps, and you can maybe plot a course for yourself. So moving on, here is a shot of some moss and rocks and sticks that I think we actually found that were already assembled when we arrived at this destination, which is the Black Balsam area, which is also free camping and is always a lovely thing. And here's Shane setting up the tent. She's doing it by herself. I'm just kidding. Now she's relaxing after she set it up in our hammocks that we love to use. but hardly ever do because we just don't. Peekaboo! This is climbing up on the top of Black Balsam Knob. Very beautiful place. I highly recommend it. And here's a shot that I didn't want to put in here, but I'm just going to leave it in here. It's a long trail system of just meandering through, field-like atmosphere on top of, and that's what they call a knob, I guess. There's lots of nice views you can see. And it's pretty high elevation. I think it was I think it's close to 5,000, if not. Don't know any of these ridges' names, but you'll have to go yourself and see. Look at that blue sky. This is the old geological surveying cap. Beautiful place to go, very much. If you want to, just go plop down in the grass or climb on some rocks. Here's our campsite. I think we went up there and hiked and come back for the evening because the sun is setting. And soon it will be time to go to sleep. But not yet. It's time to start the fire. I always enjoy making a fire and always prepared to do so. That was our view going down into the woods. And the fire rages a little. Shane writing in her journal, getting ready for the evening. That is something you may or may not know about. Had some baked beans, cooking. Not quite yet. Don't eat them yet. We're just sitting around enjoying the fire and each other's company. And then the next morning, it's time. You put the old twigs on the burning coals, and you look at the sun rising, and then boom, there's smoke. And after a while, it does start to flame up. This is where we walked up on top of the knob again. A little bit different weather this time. I don't want these kind of pictures in here. That's better. That's looking towards the east. More like northeast now. And here's the video. This was the view climbing up one of these parts of the trails, all mostly rock. Looking out, there's people out there camping out, which we couldn't understand because it was so windy. So windy. Well, hello there, son. And Shane got a picture of her looking towards the west, representing the GP, Guerrilla Poets. If y'all don't know about that, look them up. And the sun was setting or rising. I can't remember if this was sunrise or sunset, but it was made for a pretty sky. And I think there was a lightning storm happening off to the side there, left. It's always beautiful. And this was our walk down through along Graveyard Fields and that river that runs through all that. And you can really get into water here because it is very shallow. And if it's a hot July day, you can get in that water and you can feel good. And it's not uncomfortable at all. Shane about to do the dip. Shane's about to take the dip and she sees the dogs coming. And that one dog's trying to get her. I'll try to tell her, watch out, baby, there's a dog. But it's a friendly dog, so it's all good. And now it's my turn to take a bath. I really did. I took a bath in that creek. It felt so good. I'm playing. I'm not quite sure what was going on right here. I think I'd gotten tired of that section. But it's a really beautiful place out here. If you're ever around this area, Graveyard Fields, and just take your time. I always think this is funny. I'd take a seashell from the beach and then place it in the river for somebody else to find. To be like, what? And this was another part of the trip, another time of day, another part of the weather that is in the Great Smoky Mountains National Parks, which is where we were making our way into Gatlinburg. The clouds were in that ripe condition to be the smokiness the smokiness of Great Smoky Mountains National Park. There's my truck. There's Shane waving. It's a nice little mountain vehicle. Made our way up to Clingman's Dome Trail, as you can see. The weather was quite gray, so I still wanted to get pictures of where we were, and so I did. But it was quite there was no visibility whatsoever, except for that far ahead of you. And I took this picture to show you what it can look like. The western view, yeah, the contrast between the two. It was still beautiful, and it was drizzled just a little bit, and then there was a break, just a little bit, so you could see. And I enjoyed it quite immensely. But then I wanted to take a picture of this to show some green. And starting out with this one, I don't know why I took a picture of this. Oh, it was a mattress. It was Mattress Springs popping out. But anyway, this was going to be a segue into where we went to next, or where I'm going into next with this these pictures and videos. This was a spot after we had come out of the Great Smoky Mountains. We'd found a campsite. We actually stayed out here for 2 nights and had a good time going into the city of Gatlinburg, whatever, to be able to see all the attractions. And I will take you into that here shortly. But yeah, it's nice to see a mattress in the ground at a campsite or near it. But there was a little creek that ran behind us, and as always, I like to go play in it and do weird things like this and leave things for people to find later to say, why is there a seashell in the mountains? And here was our campsite set up. Just trying to do it, make people proud. And that was actually my dad's canopy covering right there from whenever he was younger. And it took me forever to get it to looking like that. But we didn't have a campfire picture, but we did have a picture of the campfire ring. And the beef stew dinner. It was delicious, wasn't it? And so here we are in the transitional mode. This was Ripley's, believe it or not, in the aquarium. In the aquarium, this is one section talking about Ripley's life and all that. And I'm trying to take a picture to where I'm looking at Ripley and I'm pointing at him, and it kind of worked. But this was a cool place. With all kind of cool creatures that just hanging out, minding their own business. That was a jellyfish, and they did that really well with putting that type of lighting in there with this jellyfish. I thought this was very magical, and so does the jellyfish. These are the beautiful creatures of the world's most abundant habitat. Scary creatures. And not so much. Yeah, but this was the walking underneath the tunnel, the underwater tunnel. It was really cool to see. Like, they had it set up to where like a shipwreck, and I had all the things floating around, and sharks right there, and what in the world is that? I mean, really, it's a sawfish or something, but that thing is freaky looking. And if I saw that in the water, I think I would pee my pants, because I mean, look at them lips and them eyes, and in its headdress. It's still beautiful. There's some more fish floating around, having a good time. They really did a good job with that lighting, with the way that the sunlight could come through. I guess that was just a waterfall inside the aquarium that come down. This was a feature. Yeah, but this is a really cool place if you ever get a chance to come up to Ripley. Any Ripley's Aquarium is awesome. And I can't remember what this was. It was a quote. I think it says Captain Nemo. The sea is a vast reservoir of nature. It was through the sea that the earth, so to speak, began. I thought that was cool. And I'm sure that does not say Captain Nemo, but that's what I'm reading now. If I can't read it now, I guess I will be able to later, and you'll be able to correct me. And that's the top of the big area that they had all the fishes in. I don't know what those are. It's beautiful sea life. I wish I knew my terminology better. And what better way to celebrate the aquarium lifestyle than to look at the aquarium filtration systems area and see all the inner workings of what makes it possible to run. That fish looked delicious, actually. Oh no! I don't know what it was running away from. I remember these fish, they were just like, they kept going in continuous motion to the right and then kept going around. And there's old jellyfish again. These were really tiny, actually. And they had them in like this bubble display, bubble view display. Kept backing out to kind of show the scope. And here's a little fish looking at you, saying, hey, hope you're doing all right. A little frog that's out of focus, but it's all right. He's having a good time. What you looking at? This was the piranha. He had this cool gold flecks on him, gold specks. I wouldn't want to be touching that gold. And this is where we were posing up at the top of the Anarchista attraction, theme park, what have you. This was actually a section where they had wicker statues and wicker architecture all around. And it was really cool. It had a lot of stuff to offer. There is a story to be told here in a few minutes. But this is us having a good time. Usually open my mouth for a picture for some reason, but I always like to bring it back. This was the mountain coaster rail runner section. See Shane getting in there, getting ready to go. And here we go. Now you're not supposed to film as you go down this thing. They tell you that for your own safety. But I kept trying to follow the signs and do what it told me to do whenever it told you. It's supposed to tell you when to brake. It tells you when to accelerate. But it was really fun, but it was not worth the wait. I mean, we waited for a while, and it only took like 2 minutes to get down the hill. And well, there I am going up. I guess I don't know what happened back there, but this took longer than the ride down. Then I think I come over across this ridge, and I think I see Shane way up in the distance. I think I holler at her.
Shane!
Yep, there it was. And here was our pictures afterwards. Looking scared. Shane having a good time. And here's the old Mr. Anarchista himself. Shane sitting in his lap. I was tickling his chin. And I think he liked it. This is a foreboding of what was to come later on. And this was the treehouse they had built. It had all these cool little contraptions on it. And it was all enclosed, so it was very safe. They had given off the Swiss Family Robinson vibe to me. And I enjoyed myself immensely. And here's, I don't know who that is. I thought it was Shane when I put it on here, but for a minute. But now, this is the view from the treehouse around looking. If you ever have a chance to go on up there. Yeah! And, yeah, this is very cool. Swiss Family Robinson feel to it. There's a lot of people out there, but, you know, everybody kind of kept their distance, so it was kind of nice. And it was a Jurassic Park looking thing to me. It's just a cool tree bridge section of extension of that tree house, but it just keeps on going down through the trees, and who knows where you go. Now this was one of the coolest parts of this place, because as you can see, we have some helmets on, and looks like we got some kind of harness. So what does this mean? Well, you guessed it. It was some zip lining, and it was high up in the trees. I was nervous, and there was some spots, I think right here is where he was looking down. We had to rappel straight down in some parts to get to the next level, and this was our deal right here. We got somebody to video it for us, and here we go.
There's a good one. Another one.
And I would recommend that to anybody. We actually had gotten rained out, and it was very disappointing, but they worked us in, and it worked out very nicely. This was the other part of the tree bridge connecting back over there towards the other side of the park. And yeah, the thunderstorm was crazy. We were hiding out. I didn't get any pictures of that. I should have, but it all worked out in the end. So we had to come back down the mountain, though.
Really is like the Myrtle Beach of the mountains, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's got all the same trappings.
Hey, Carl. Chuck.
This really is like the most hectic part of this journey.
Right?
Getting a little nervous. This is that higher part. That's what that guy said way up there when we were on the way up. He was like, "You've already,
yeah.
Like, you done got past the highest part."
Because if you fall right here, you are.
Oh, I just burped him. Just threw up. I think I threw up in my mouth. But I think I'd like to go back on a chairlift again soon, but maybe not that soon. Okay, why are we shaking? Oh yes, had to get these pictures in here. This was a cool experience. This was still down there near in Gatlinburg Town Center, Ripley's mirror maze, and the lights and here and the mirrors. It's just a awesome, magical place. It's yeah, I'd recommend it. Anybody going into Shane Multiplied. It's just I'm gonna keep these pictures in here, even if they're on the vertical view, or portrait view instead of horizontal. Landscape, portrait instead of landscape. But the lighting. I love lights and love colors, and the mirrors just intensify it, just make it into something fantastical. And we are posing in front of the mirror like we do with the phones, right? Yeah, to go from that green, that blue, that red to the purple to the green. I don't know what that was. I guess I was trying to get some kind of perspective shot. And this was a rotating mirror. So crazy. Round and round and back again. I think I tried to create that round and round effect too, as about circling around, or maybe it was the mirror. I don't remember. I would stop talking, but I kind of need to drown out some of this background music that may or may not be in here. I don't know what might or may not be in here. But this is in Gatlinburg. This is Ripley's Mirror Maze. I would say, come on up there. Go on up. Come on up. Come on up. I get in trouble for that. And there is no music playing in the background. Nobody knows what that music is, and if they do, it is there, but it's not mine. And this is the red room. Red room. I'm gonna keep that just because it's cool. I think this other one's the same way. Oh, looked up a little bit. Oh man, I'd like to go back to this. I could do this every week. Just to go inside and look at the lights. Can you guess where I am? It's the boom boom room. It's the boom boom room. But it ain't just for boom booming. Yeah. Yeah, it ain't no secret. I like to sing in the bathroom. This is the Roaring Fork Motor Trail. This section was a little homestead, and we stopped off and just hung out for a little bit. It's a pretty cool ride down through the Roaring Fork Motor Trail. There's a lot of places to stop off at, and there's waterfalls going all along it, and you can get lost up in there. We actually rode through that thing, and it was dark by the time we got out of it at the end of it. So this must have been like an old a mill. I think there was some grindstones inside of there. I think those pictures are coming up. I love old buildings. I love the history behind them, and I could stay and be exploring places like that all the time. Yeah, I think it had something to do with grounding up some meal or somewhere. But just try to get all the pictures that I can. And that's the road right there. It's just a single lane road going through this Roaring Fork Motor Trail. Just looking out. And here comes up a little tour behind that first house that we first saw. One day, I'll move out of this place. I'll move out of this place, and I'll walk for about forever to get to where I'm trying to go and try to say what I want to say next. I love it down in here. It's so peaceful. I would live out here if I could. One day I'll move out of that place, and I'll move in here. That's the place I'm going. Or maybe better yet, that one. Here comes your expert guide. I don't know what these specific buildings are for specifically, but it's on the Roaring Fork Motor Trail up in here in Gatlinburg, North Carolina, and it was the home place of I think I'm saying it right, Ephraim Bales. And we didn't get to read on a lot of that, but I guess apparently this is where they lived. I'm not too sure what this is. I can't remember what this would be called. Probably a spring house or a chicken coop, Daniel. Creek right here behind them. And take a walk down through this little pathway. It gets really dark and creepy down here. I love this part. When the creek boils up, you can hear it. Hear the sound of magic. I'm guessing this is called the Roaring Fork Creek or Roaring Fork. So beautiful. This is an obligatory sign for all ye who like to trash the wilderness. Please don't trash the wilderness. Please. You can see how someone felt about this sign. This is coming up on the last pictures that I have for the Roaring Fork Motor Trail. This was an old homestead. This was separate from the previous one. Next up, we're coming up on the beginning of where we started off at, and be able to see this is full circle, I reckon. Just some pictures of some ferns at the foundation of the house. I tried to take a panoramic picture using 3 different pictures. It's just always cool to see these old houses, especially the way they built, with the stones at the foundation. And this is the last picture I have of the Roaring Fork Motor Trail. And up next, we'll be around Julian Price Memorial Park again on, I think it's the Boone Fork Trail. There you see Shane overlooking our path forwards. And this was the Boone Fork Trail. This was the beginning of it. It came out. And this was the 5-mile trek that took us almost, I'm guessing 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't even know how long it was. But it was sunny right there when we started out. So much so that I couldn't even keep my eyes right. And we started out in the daytime and we walked through this whole thing and it got dark at the end. So, and this is a nice trail to go walk through. This thing right here, I don't know, it looked like something from Lord of the Rings, Skyrim or something. It looked like some kind of piece of Dwemer technology. Just thought that was a cool little waterfall with the root growing over the top. And I think coming up, it'll be another little section where it kind of looks like something from medieval, ancient, fantasy land. I'm not quite sure where it's at, but I like those 3 limbs that stick up vertically right there. Coming up. There's the sun setting, as you can see. I mean, it's still quite high, but I mean, when you're in the mountains, this stuff sets quick. Here it is. This is the section. It looks just like something that was hewn out of the rock. I mean, there's like a little walkway. I'm pretty sure somebody laid that down, but it almost looked natural too. It's like almost like some kind of memorial or something too. I don't know. To nature. It's so evenly cut down there. Not cut, but evenly spaced. Amazing. Shane playing in the water, getting them feet wet. Such a cool sound in the water. Shane didn't know I was filming. I think she catches me. I love you, baby. That sun just sparkling on that water is what we really stopped there for. That sun with that certain angle just makes the light just jump out in all different directions in such a beautiful way. There's another little waterfall. It just looks like milk. And I think this is where we were coming up towards the end of the trip. I think we got to the point where, I think we were halfway through. We were getting tired. We were getting hungry. Hungry enough to eat that mud back there. There's these cool hand-hewn log bridges compared to the modern one. I think it's crazy. Moss just looking good enough to eat like some spinach. I don't know if spinach is that delicious to anybody, but this is a cool place though. Boone Fork Trail. out there off the Blue Ridge Parkway. Can't beat it for a day hike if you start out early enough. I think we started late. We're in that tricky part of the trail and time of day when it looks darker than it really is. Because right now it is 7:30. We still got an hour worth of technical daylight, but in the mountains it is something different. But this is the Boone Fork Trail, and we have a good time. But we just reached the halfway point of a 5-mile loop, so we're trying to keep it going. This is beautiful up here. It's near Boone, Blowing Rock, Banner Elk. It's it's in Julian Price Memorial Park. So you see we're coming and we're going. There's lots of beautiful scenery around. Lots of places that you can kind of stop off and have a quick dip and get cooled off in these summer months. It's cool. It's a cool little waterfall up there. But yeah, you can still see the daylight still in the canopy, but down below it's getting darker. A little sign to tell us that we're going in the right direction, at least. Shane looking pretty as always. That's a nice little swimming spot. I think that's why I took that picture, because I was like, we're gonna go swimming. This is just a still frame, I think, of the video that I took earlier. And this is coming up to where we thought maybe this was Hebron Falls, and we were mistaken, because we get to there a lot later and it's a lot darker. There was actually a spot to where we were hiking and it got really dark, or it was getting really dark, and we looked behind us because there was this noise that come out of nowhere in the woods, and it was like an animal, but it almost sounded like a person. And you best believe I kept looking behind me every 2 minutes just to make sure there wasn't some crazy person or some animal coming to get us. But all was well. We made it out alive. We ended up at our campsite, which we stayed right on the lake at Julian Price Memorial Park campground. And this was the scene from the next morning, and we were about to head back home. Well, I guess that's it. Hope you enjoyed. I did. Can't wait to look at this in 10 years or so. It's a cute outro music. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun. Do 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 do.